Good morning. First and foremost, thank you very much for coming. First talk of the day. My name is Nick Lewis. I'm CMO at Leverett. Does everyone familiar with us, with Leverett? Pretty much, like I say, I can skip the bit about what we do. What I'm here to talk to you about is what I call the industrial revolution in fintech. Why do I call it industrial revolution? Because exactly like the industrial revolution more than a century ago, we're going through a period of mass change within the industry. And I'm going to try and sort out what's happening, where it's going, what it means. Unfortunately, I do apologize in advance. There is going to be some commercial aspects in the talk, but you can put those aside if it doesn't really interest you, and just listen to the content. If you have any questions at any time, please raise your hand. Someone will provide you with a microphone for the cameras, and then I'll be happy to answer. You won't ruin my flow, and if I think it's not relevant, I'll pass you over, but please feel free to ask questions as we go. At the end of the talk, you can either visit us on the stand directly outside the door to the left, or Sammy's here. You can speak to him directly as well. So what am I going to talk about? So if I was standing here this time last year, I would have probably told you the big things that are going to change in the fintech industry are regulation, competition, and mobile. So what's really happened in the last year? Well, regulation has become a big issue, and we've seen it come over and over again. And we're going to get to the bit about regulation and how it's going to affect the industry in general and where it's going to go. Competition we've definitely seen rising, and we hear everyone talking about it. The cost of marketing, the strength of the competition, the mergers and the acquisitions. We come into the show learning that Playtech have bought a large liquidity provider. Things are changing. Mobile's a little bit of a mystery. Mobile should have been the big technology leap, as it has been with many other industries. Somehow the take-up is a little bit slower. But we'll get to this as well. So how do I know what's going to happen in the future? Well, I'm not a genius and I don't have a crystal ball. What I do have is 12 years experience in the gaming industry. And what I've seen happen in the gaming industry, I see happening in the fintech industry. Very, very similar. Very similar in the way that it's reacted. The difference has been the pace. So when we talk about the gaming industry, post-Ouija in the States and the first arms regulation in Italy, we see the pace of regulation and what's happened with regulation over the past few years, where it's been going and how it's affected the market, where we've seen bigger and bigger players come into the market, the Labricks, the William Hills, and how things have generally changed for good and for bad. So how does this crystal ball translate into fintech? Well, obviously, one of the big things that we're going to see is we're going to see regulation become more and more prominent within industry. So, but it has like a plus point, it has a minus point. Let's talk about the minus points, because the minus points is always the bit that hurts the most, okay? It costs money to be regulated, okay? It puts pressure on your top line. It puts pressure on your costs as far as the company's concerned. Your operational costs, it costs money to be regulated. On the plus side, it gives you the opportunity to go out with a trust message, a message that's strong with consumers, that allows them to believe in your product and your services. It allows you access to something that maybe we didn't have before, which is mass media. Suddenly it's legitimate under a regulation to be able to go and advertise on TV. It's legitimate to go and advertise on the shirts of a football club, and we see it happening. But this has another effect. What's the knock-on effect? You need to have the access to the mass media. Mass media costs money, but it brings in mass traffic, and you have to deal with that mass traffic. Now you have to deal with mass traffic that's coming from a very broad spectrum. People are coming from different walks of life, different experience, and they're coming to your products and services, and you're thinking, how am I going to handle this? Now, if I was a traditional broker, working maybe in the industry for a few years, the way I would think about doing it is I would have a call center, and I would pick up a phone, and I'd start calling one after the other, lead after lead, and saying, please, will you convert? Let me take your credit card number. I'm regulated, whatever. You don't know where you're catching this guy. You don't know how you're catching this guy. And you certainly can't do it when suddenly you get 100,000 leads in a day. So how are we going to deal with this? How are we going to maximize all of this? We need to start thinking about life in a different way. We need to start thinking about life the way that the gaming industry already thought of. We don't have to do anything new. We need to start building tools that will help us move forward into the future. Okay? One of the first tools we need to start building is automation. Right here you're seeing an example of one of our tools, Optimate. Optimate allows you to automate your conversion and retention funnels. Okay, but we need to adapt these tools to work with our industry. The day of telephone calls is not completely dead. You know, no one's under any illusion that at no point are you going to get someone to take their hand and put it in their pocket, pull out a credit card and put $10,000 or pounds or euros in their account without knowing who they're speaking to or what's happening. However, you can make a difference in the way people perceive and where you can be effective. You don't need to call someone 20 minutes after they've logged off and they're already somewhere else completely different and they're not even thinking about what they did 20 minutes ago. You need to be able to contact the person real time, in a real environment, at a real trigger point, a key decision-making point. And this is where automation can help, because basically you can take your users and you can start part by part pushing them through a funnel that's dedicated towards what they want to do. Okay? And you can do it in small chunks. You can lead people. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to be very blunt. Human beings are sheep. Okay? We are simple animals. We like to follow, we like to be told what to do, and we like to say yes, and we like something to do. Okay? As long as you tell someone what to do, they'll do it. Okay? If you do it in a clean and effective way, then you build trust. If you trust and it's good and it makes sense to you, you will do it. You will do it. Okay? And this is where automation can help. So you take someone who comes in as a lead, and instead of immediately attacking him on telephone, gimme, okay? You say, why don't you open up a session? Okay? You drag them into the session. Inside the session, they suddenly get another notification. Why don't you copy this person from social trading because you came in from a social trading banner? Okay? Person opens up a copy position. Say, okay, now this looks good. You're generally doing a good job. Why don't you make a small deposit? Okay? At this point, you already know where your client is. You know what they're doing. You know where they're going. And you basically putting them through a very simple process that's easy to follow, and it'll increase your conversion rates. The next thing you need to do is you need to be able to have a system that encompasses the mass. Okay, we've already spoken about this. We're talking about people from different walks of life. People who maybe never knew what the system is, or have never traded or have traded, people who are really keen on trading, people who came through some algorithm, people who came through because they know what they're doing, people who want to invest. But you need a system that will be able to take all your users and be able to put them in the right block for them and be able to build them a lifetime that's longer and better. Okay? So, for example, if your trader has come through a campaign on social trading, take them directly into an area for copy trading. Give them all the information that they require. Give them the right people for them to copy. Make it a good example for them and make them be able to see what they're doing at any point in time and move forward. If you have a trader who maybe hasn't traded in the market before, has a little bit less experience, is interested, you can take them through to an easier trading platform, something that takes them through to the instruments, but it also gives them everything they need surrounding that instrument: market sentiment, news, alerts, feeds of people and what other people are doing on the network, feeds from the news, feeds from your marketing team, okay? The next thing is maybe you have guys who are working on algo. Or maybe you have your own algo and you want to fill it through to your front end. The same thing, you have an investment area that takes people through and that they can pick a strategy that they can follow. Any single point in time, they click on the screen, they can see their portfolio, they can see how they're doing, they can see where they're going, they can see their profitability, they can see exactly what's happening. Or maybe you have an advanced trader who just wants to get straight and go to the advanced trading. Advanced trading can mean any web platform, okay? But now, if you have it all encompassed in one system, you'll be able to take someone from point A to point Z, all the way through, from the beginning to the end. You can take their lifetime, and you can move them through a funnel, and each time your funnels can move forward, like, to the next sector. So therefore, you need to be able to make sure that the lifetime of your users grows, okay? We spoke about regulation. Regulation costs money. Regulation means that you have higher overheads. It means that you have less margins to play with. You're stricter. So, in effect, you need to be able to convert more, but the biggest plus is the retention side, is how to take your traders and your users and make them longer in the system and give them longer lifetime values. You don't need to be able to reinvest every single time. Okay? I'm going to basically open up the floor to questions. I'm sure there are many questions, some of them relating to where regulation's going and where it's not. I'm going to lead you into a question. I'm going to ask myself a question. Why is it that regulators punish only the regulated? Okay? So when I look back, again, into the gaming days, I see exactly the same trend. Okay, so when the first regulation came out for gaming, who was the first person the regulator punished? The regulated. Why? Because it's easy. There's no problem. I have all your details. You gave me your name. You gave me your telephone number. You gave me your address. If you do something wrong, I'm going to punish you. Okay? But the regulators, there is regulation for 3 reasons. Reason number 1 is consumer protection. Okay? Reason number 2 is to make sure that there's some kind of rules that the industry can follow. And reason number 3, and this is the very important one, regulation makes money, okay? Regulation makes money for governments, okay? All the systems they put in place about following your trades and where it's going and how much money you're making is for taxation, okay? Let's be straight about this, okay? What's going to happen if they keep punishing the regulated? Guys are going to say, I don't need this. I've got this guy who's next to me. He's regulated in Belize. He's doing exactly the same thing I want to do, but he's got no rules. Okay? And this is exactly what happened in Italy and throughout Europe with the gaming regulation. And eventually the regulators got smart and say, listen, we don't want to lose our money. We don't want to lose our cash. And we still want to do the other stuff, like the consumer protection and the industry rules. So what happened in gaming was that the regulators started punishing the unregulated, okay? And this is something that I believe we'll see also within our industry, certainly in Europe. And we're already seeing it a little bit in France, but when you look at gaming, Argel, and when you look at Italy, ARMS, those are the 2 most aggressive regulators against unregulated casinos in Europe. They will close down a site within 24 hours that isn't regulated, okay? Now, this is the way I believe that the industry is going to go. So when you take it, regulation as a whole, you have to take it like in its encompassing side. And I think that we shouldn't fear it. We should embrace it, but we should also look on how we can capitalize on it and how we can make the best. Okay, so I've asked myself a question. Now I request any other questions?
Does the system have, sorry.
Sure.
Does the system have anything to do with regulation? Activate system?
Yeah. It's a great question. It does. First and foremost, the system is platform agnostic, which means that if you have your own web trading platform, it'll encompass on your web trading platform. But the most important side is on the social trading, which is a bit of an issue. We have already built in, as part of, under the CISEC MiFID rules, all the regulation that's required through social trading. So the ability to, for the trader to be able to limit their exposure and how they limit their exposure and how it's done and how much equity they can use and how much equity they can't use. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
You had a question?
I heard about this white label social trading platform of Leverage. Maybe that is the one you asked about. Is it like Activate or something?
Activate contains our social network. Okay.
What is the name of the white label social?
So we have our Cyrix platform, our Cyrix web platform, which also includes the Cyrix social network. And now we have it in Activate as well, which is combining like a different sectors together.
And because I am a huge believer in social trading, and I think it's a great idea to have a white label solution for that. And how do you see the future of that? Like, will it pick up? Who will be the buyers?
I think we already see like take up of the social network, and what we see as an advantage is the fact that we're just a technology provider, which means that basically we have no vested interest. That we've been able to build a network that encompasses like a wide range of brokers. So it means that if you took a white label, you come directly into a community of 5 to 30,000 active traders. Okay. Now, the thing that worries most brokers when they think about like entering such a large community is what will happen to my traders and how much control do I have over the system. So we enabled the system to have a lot of control as far as management from the broker side. So you can't eliminate traders from the network, but you can limit the traders that your network can see within the network. Okay. Down to a level where we have clients in China, for example, who are money managers, who say they want a social network where the master is the money manager and the follower are his clients. Okay, so he sees a micro social network. Okay, explain it again a little. It's like a yeah. However, those traders and that master is available for other people to copy from outside that community. So it's still a social community. It's just that each broker has their own flavor of what they want their traders to see and not see.
And all together, aggregated, you have like 30,000 active traders.
Yeah.
Wow. Nice.
Any more questions? Wow, must be the time of the morning. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much for coming. If you do have any more questions, we're available. If you have any questions just regarding the industry, we're also available. We're happy to talk. Have a great show and enjoy the day.